today's episode of PJ and a Beard, we're going to do a segment we like to call We Asked for This.
Yeah. So we've been telling people all along that we want them to subscribe to the channel and leave comments.
Join the conversation.
Right. Get on the Facebook page, leave comments there, stuff like that. Because we do. We want to have the conversation. So, I guess we would be those guitar nerds that like to talk about guitars. And so we had, a little while ago, somebody asked a comment about the red and black Zen Drive. Mm-hmm. And how that would... We did that episode with humbuckers. They want to know what it would sound like with a Strat. So we got some Strats out and we did... we had a guest over and we did a quick little playthrough with Strats to kind of answer that question. We have a small channel. So, like, interacting with just about everybody that comments now is possible.
That's right. You got a chance to be talked about if you put something out there.
In the future, it might be...
some constructive criticism.
Right, so that's why we're calling it We Asked
for This.
Yeah, we're asking.
Sometimes we're going to have to remember, we asked for this.
That's right. Well, so a good example, and I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he was watching one of the videos, and I guess
his name's going to pop up right here.
I probably won't do that. I'm not going to give him that much attention. But he did. Yeah, said, I watched him into the video before I got started playing, so bye-bye. And, see ya, because, part of the fun for us is the conversation, so, we want you to be into what we're doing, but we're not going to force everybody to like it, because not everybody will.
Well, we were going to have that lead to a YouTube tutorial where you can take your finger and drag it across like this and get to exactly where you want to go on the video.
Show people.
But we didn't do that because we're not snarky that.
You can double tap on the screen to jump forward.
Yeah, right.
All right, so, gentleman Brian Landreth?
Yes.
Brian Landreth. And we can remember your name, Brian, because of Sonny Landreth.
The great Sonny Landreth.
There's another Landreth, too. Joey Landreth.
Yes.
Right. So
I don't think there's any relation between Joey and Sonny, though.
I don't think so.
I used to think it was his son, but it's not.
But Brian must be, the Landreth name seems to come with great guitar playing. So he pointed out on the MK3 episode that we did, and I think I had put something in the description before I even posted it, because I saw that day that it works well with other pedals, but he pointed out that, Love pedals, like the fuzz, and like I said, we're kind of new to fuzz, they like a lot of volume. That they tend to work better with the volume up. Another thing that Brian had pointed out on, so we had a little discussion, another thing he had pointed out was that, the Love pedals, they're not like one-trick ponies. You got to kind of get into them and dive into them and play around with them a little bit. And admittedly, we probably haven't played around with some of the ones we've got in as much as we probably should.
The newer ones, especially, that have not been on your board for years, they're new, a literal unboxing. We dial it the way we want, and then we actually sometimes wind up there and we don't come back to them.
Right.
So.
We will, though.
Yeah.
Eventually.
We will.
So when we were demoing this pedal... So this is the MK3 by Love Pedal. We had the volume down pretty low, and we had the gain up pretty high.
That was my fault. I'd like to dime the gain and then bring the volume up to a manageable level.
So if we were to look at that right now... Yeah, turn that off. If we were to hit that right now, we'd have like...
kind of full, but a little tubby, maybe a little flubby, but you can hear the fuzz come out a little bit.
It's a cool sound.
Yeah.
So taking Brian's advice, we would pump that volume way up and maybe turn that gain down a little bit. And so one of the things that we pointed out that we really liked about this pedal is it does clean up really well when you roll your volume knob back. It's very interactive with the guitar volume knob. Let's try that, full speed.
Still got a little fuzz. Acts a little bit like an overdrive at that point, too. A little bit.
Right.
More.
It has, but a little more clarity to it.
Yeah.
So, and if I roll the volume back. So roll the volume back. So roll the volume back and it cleans up. Little thin. Like when you roll the volume back and you're playing those single notes. Maybe a little thinner. And fuzzes, I feel like, tend to be a little thinner. Mm-hmm. All right. Next thing Brian suggested was stacking it with an overdrive. So we got your everyday run of the mill.
2-year waiting list.
You know, I mean, many of the shows we've done, we've had things like the $30 Kaleen pedal.
Highwayman.
Right, we've had some cheap pedals, so why not? Let's bring out some nice pedals on this one.
The Behringer $25 Tube Screamer Killer.
Right. So now we're pulling out some of the big guns. So we have the King. Also on the board, we have the King of Tone. We have from Dry Bell the Vibe Machine, and then giving us a little bit of just a tad bit of delay. If I hit this real quick, is the Dispatch Master by
Earthquaker Devices.
Earthquaker. And what I love about that pedal, that was one of our very first episodes. That was the bonus pedal because you can get delay and reverb. So if you don't know what amp you're plugging into, say you're going to a blues jam, or you're going over to a friend's house to jam, and there's a house amp. You know, you don't know what you're plugging into, and you got to have reverb, you got to have a little bit of delay. That's a great pedal because you get them both.
Both of them.
Both of them. So, turning on, let's do this first. King of Tone. We'll go to the red side by itself. Just playing a couple single note things. And honestly, we don't have the gain's not up that high.
Right.
And the amp's not cranked that much. So I think the King of Tone really comes alive when you crank an amp.
Doesn't everything?
Yes.
That's
What's the JHS thing? Louder is more good.
yes.
Yes, louder is more good.
Thank you, Josh.
Yes. So, but we're trying not to kill ourselves. So what happens if we stack the two?
This is for you, Brian.
I think it's really nice.
That is nice. Very nice.
A little more sustained, a little more... Yeah, I like it. I think it kind of fattens this up.
Yes.
But it actually kind of... For where we're at right now, we were able to kind of pull the volume of that back a little bit. So it's almost like the King of Tone's almost acting like kind of an attenuator and an EQ pedal a little bit. And so the last thing, Brian, in that conversation we had was you said the Univibe, right? So the Vibe Machine, if you haven't checked out Dry Bell's Vibe Machine, I'm sure that there'll be an episode. There's a lot of Vibe pedals sitting around here. So I know that that's something that we want to get into and look at some of the different ones. There's some really good cheap ones and there's some really good expensive ones. So maybe taking a look at that is something we're going to do in the future. But just real quick, what does those two stacked sound like with the Vibe Machine? And then up here in the upper left-hand corner of the board is a electrical box that has some. It's a DIY pedal. So right now it's plugged into the side of the Vibe Machine, and it's set up to switch it between fast and slow. So maybe when I'm playing, Pat can hit that to fast and back to slow or something.
It's questionable whether I have those skills or not. We're going to find out.
And then we have the... there was also... I used to have that running into the Nemesis delay so it could control the preset on the delay and the tap tempo. But I don't use it anymore, but it works for this because I don't want to pull the... I have the Dry Bell switch, but it's kind of buried onto a board. So, let's click that on and just fool around for a minute. And then I think Pat and I are going to play a little bit.
Yeah. What I love about it is that it takes time to speed up and takes time to slow down.
It's a ramp.
It's really cool.
Yeah, and I think you can actually set that ramp on it. You can set the ramp to speed up, slow down.
So we are going to play this out. And so, if you want to hear things like this, you have to do the whole thing.
Yeah, well, so here's the deal. If you subscribe, that helps us out because, we're doing this for fun, but it's kind of fun to have people doing it with us. Don't do it. And then, if you leave comments, we're reading them, we're responding to them, and we kind of like them. It's fun. It gives us something to think about, something, we wouldn't have put this together and did this episode without Brian Andrus' comments. So, Brian, we really appreciate you taking the time to not only watch the video, but to interact with us a little bit. So, thanks a lot, man. And with that...
PJ, on behalf of the Beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear. Yeah!